Let's tackle one of the most common points of confusion in supply chain conversations. What's the difference between a supply chain and a value chain? And more importantly, why does it matter? By the end of this lecture, you'll be able to explain clearly and confidently how supply chains create value, not just move stuff. This distinction is critical when you're talking to executives, finance teams, or anyone who still thinks supply chain is just a cost center. Let's start with the fundamental question: what is value? When we talk about value in supply chain, we are not just talking about cheaper or faster. We're talking about transforming something into a form that's more useful, more desirable, or more accessible to the customer. Well, there are four classic types of value creation that every supply chain professional should know. The first one is form value. This is when you physically change the product. Raw cotton becomes yarn. Yarn becomes fabric. Fabric becomes a finished t shirt. Each transformation changes the form and increases the value. Second one is place value. This is when you move a product to where it's needed. For example, a t shirt manufactured in Sri Lanka has limited value to a customer in Berlin until it's transported there. Moving it from factory to store creates place value. Then we have the third one, time value. This is when you make the product available when the customer wants it. A winter jacket in July has little value. The same jacket in November on the shelf when customers are looking for it has high value. Timing matters. Then we come to the fourth type of value, possession value. This is when you make it easy for the customer to actually own the product. Payment options, financing, flexible delivery, easy checkout, fast fulfillment, smooth return processes. All of these lower the friction of possession and increase value. So, when you think about your supply chain, ask yourself, where are we adding form value? Is it through production, assembly, or customization? Where are we adding place value? Through logistics, distribution, positioning inventory closer to demand? Where are we adding time value? Planning, scheduling, replenishment speed? And where are we adding possession value? Order management, financing, returns? Each step in your supply chain should be creating one or more of these types of value. If it's not, it's waste. Now let's connect this to frameworks you may have heard about. Many of you might have seen Michael Porter's value chain, which was introduced decades ago as a strategic tool. It's still taught in business schools and it's still useful, but it's not the same as a supply chain. Here's the key difference. Porter's value chain focuses on the internal activities of a company that create competitive advantage. It includes inbound logistics, operations, outbound logistics, marketing and sales, and service, plus support activities like HR, technology, procurement, and infrastructure. Porter's model is about what a company does internally to create and deliver value. The modern supply chain, on the other hand, focuses on the end to end flow of goods, information, and financial commitments across companies or just within one. It includes suppliers, often multiple tiers deep, procurement and sourcing, manufacturing and assembly, which may be outsourced, logistics, inbound and outbound, distribution networks, retailers or direct to consumer channels, reverse logistics, and recycling. So, Porter's value chain equals activities inside your company that adds value. Supply chain, the interconnected network of organizations, processes, and flows that deliver value from raw material to end customer and back. Where they overlap is Porter's operations and logistics are inside the broader supply chain, but the supply chain extends far beyond boundaries of any single company. So, why does this distinction matter in practice? Well, because when you're explaining supply chain performance to leadership, you need to make it very, very clear. We don't just manage our own operations. We manage relationships, handoffs, flows across suppliers, logistics providers, distributors, and customers, and our performance depends on how well the entire system works, not just our internal efficiency. Recent industry analyses consistently show that companies treating supply chain as a cross-company collaborative system outperform those that treat it as a set of internal functions. Integration, visibility, and joint planning across the network are key differentiators. Let's make this concrete with something simple, a t shirt. Walk through the entire supply chain with me, step by step, and notice where value is being created and captured. Step number one, design. Before anything physical happens, someone designs the t shirt. What will it look like? What fabric and fit? What colors and prints? Value created is form value. That's the concept plus differentiation. This is not supply chain in the traditional sense, but the design decisions that deeply affect the entire chain: material sourcing, production complexity, inventory risk, and speed to market. Step number two, sourcing. Now you need to procure the materials: cotton, dyes, thread, label, hangers, polybags. The value created is access to the right inputs at the right cost, quality, and lead time. Sourcing decisions affect cost structure, sustainability and compliance, lead time and flexibility, and supply risk. This is where procurement and supply management add value or destroy it. Step number three, sewing and assembly. Raw fabric is cut, sewn, and assembled into finished t shirts, often in a garment factory in Asia, Central America, or Eastern Europe. Value created, form value. You've transformed fabric into a product. The efficiency, quality, flexibility of this step determine cost, lead time, and defect rates. Recent performance benchmarks show that apparel supply chains with more agile, higher quality manufacturing, even at a slightly higher cost, often outperform on total profitability because they reduce markdowns and write-offs. Step number four, quality control. Before the t-shirts leave the factory, they are inspected, value created or protected, ensuring form value is maintained, preventing defects from reaching customers. Poor quality control doesn't just cost money in rework, it costs brand reputation, returns, and lost future sales. Step number five, transport, internal and domestic. Finished t-shirts are packed into cartons and loaded into containers, shipped by sea or air, cleared through customs, and moved to distribution centers or stores. Value created, place value, and time value. The t-shirt produced in Sri Lanka or Vietnam has no value to a customer in Chicago until it's physically transported there and arrives before the customer wants it. Logistic decisions, mode, route, speed, cost shape your ability to serve different customer segments profitably. Step number six, distribution and inventory positioning. T-shirts are allocated to regional distribution centers and then individual stores or fulfillment centers for e-commerce. Value created, place value, closer to customer, plus time value, available when needed. Where you position inventory in the network is one of the most powerful value creation levers. Too far from demand, slow and expensive. Too close but poorly allocated, stockouts in one place, excess in another. Step number seven, retail and sales. The t-shirt is displayed on a shelf or listed online. A customer finds it, likes it, and buys it. Value created, possession value. The customer now owns it. Sales and merchandising, pricing, promotions, checkout experience, all part of how smoothly possession transfers. If this step is clunky, slow, or confusing, the value created in all previous steps is at risk. And then finally, beyond return and reverse logistics. If the customer doesn't like the t-shirt, they return it. Value recovered or lost is how efficiently you process returns, restock, or recycle that determines whether you recapture value or write it off. In many fashion categories, return rates are in double digits, making reverse logistics a critical part of the value equation. So let's recap the t-shirt journey. Where was value created? Design, it was differentiation and form value or the concept. Sourcing, access to inputs, cost, and quality foundation. Sewing, form value or transformation. Quality, protection of form value. Transport, place and time value. Distribution, place and time value or positioning. Retail, sales, it was possession value. Returns, it was value recovery or loss. Every single step either adds value or destroys it. And here's the key insight. Your supply chain is not just a cost. It's a value creation system. When executives or finance teams see supply chain as a thing that ships products and costs money, they miss the big picture. You need to help them see. Our supply chain creates the form, place, time, and possession value that our customers are willing to pay for. If we weaken any part of it, whether it's sourcing, production, logistics, distribution, we lose value faster than we save cost. So, why does this matter for your work? As a supply chain professional, you are not a cost controller, you are a value architect. When you're asked to cut costs, your response should be understood. But let's first identify where we can reduce waste without destroying value. Let's look at where we are adding cost but not value. Excess handling, poor network design, rework, obsolete inventory. But let's also protect the steps that create real value for customers. Industry data from the last few years continues to show that companies focused on total value delivered, not just cost minimization, achieve higher customer loyalty, better margins, and stronger resilience during disruptions. So, to wrap things up, let's summarize. Value is created in 4 ways: form, place, time, position. Porter's value chain describes the internal activities within one company. The modern supply chain describes the end-to-end network across companies that deliver value from raw material to customer and back. A t-shirt example shows that every step from design to sourcing to sewing to transport to retail to returns either adds value or wastes resources. Your job: design, run, and improve supply chains that maximize value creation while minimizing waste. Not just efficiency, not just cost, but value. In the rest of this course, as we go deeper into the 12 components and the 7 lenses, keep asking yourself, where are we creating value? Where are we destroying it? And how do we design a supply chain that delivers more value, more reliably, at a sustainable cost? And that's the mindset of a strategic supply chain leader.